In the age of machine learning, our digital footprints will outlive us. Whether we like it or not, our data is harvested to train AI systems. But is it possible to use data to bring departed loved ones back to life? Imagine receiving an email, or better still, an audio or video message from your dear grandma years after she died. AI-powered digital resurrection companies are starting to offer exactly that kind of service. They promise to keep our loved ones alive by harvesting data from social media streams, audio messages, and all kinds of other internet history to create a convincing virtual replica. They say they can not only recreate a person's speech patterns, but they can also recreate visual biometrics and the very essence of their personality, including their sense of humour. But hang on a minute. Are we really prepared for the psychological, relational and ethical challenges we'll bring on ourselves if we take that particular path? I have to admit there are some attractions with so-called digital resurrection. If you've ever lost someone close to you, you'll know how much you miss their wit and wisdom. My father passed away more than a decade ago, my mother more recently. They lived in Australia, I'm in the UK. And there are times when I still wish I could pick up the phone and call them just to chat or to get their input on some important decision or to learn from their life experiences. And my folks didn't have a digital footprint, but it seems to me that even if they did, imagining a digital replica could substitute for the real thing would be an act of pure fantasy. Engaging with an AI-powered digital replica is not the same as listening to a person's voicemail message over and over just to hear the sound of their voice. AI creates the actual illusion of interaction. It analyzes data and spits out content in a very human-like form. Of course, to really understand artificial intelligence, you need to start with the name itself. The word artificial is taken from artifice, which means a mask. An AI system might appear to be human or alive, but this is just a mask. AI is built on non-biological machine processing using mathematics and data analysis. So, can AI give you a viable sense of relationship with someone who's died? Not really. Human relationships are very fluid. Both parties change over time in ways that are impossible to predict, much less program. So the advice a friend or a parent gives you will often change as their perspective or experience changes. It might also shift slightly as your circumstances change. A digital replica can't possibly react in ways that take all of that into account. And yes, hearing someone's voice can be reassuring, especially when they've only just passed away. But any interaction with someone's virtual avatar will still leave you without the one thing you valued most in your relationship with them, and that is the mutual bonding over real, shared human experience. By definition, a machine can't have a shared human experience. No matter how sophisticated it is, it's not human. AI can mimic or fake empathy, but you and I still know it's not the real thing. And very often we need the real thing, especially when we're trying to express something that involves powerful emotions. Here's a very important question. What will digital replicas mean for our memories of real people? Our interaction with memories is very fluid. One of the things that makes memories special is that they shine or dim for us in tune with the seasons of life. A memory that feels especially significant today might seem less important a little further down the road. The very act of trying to recall a particular memory is a way of honouring the person involved and keeping their character and example alive. Now, some people will be drawn to AI replicas because they seem to provide a way around the very painful process of grief. But is that healthy for us? Deep grief is not meant to last forever, but studies show that people who avoid the stages of grief often suffer from what's called perpetual mourning, which can lead to anxiety, depression, and physical sickness. Grief is painful, but it sharpens our memories of the people we've lost. It deepens our appreciation of exactly why we loved them. And taking the time to go through grief is a way of honouring the deceased. Personally, I can't think of anything less honouring to my parents than thinking that a digital replica could ever substitute for the real thing. What's more, interacting with a lifelike replica could produce reality distortion, a blurring of the lines between reality and simulation, and that can lead to delusions. Basically, the more we choose to live in a fantasy world, the harder it becomes to deal with our real world, which we can never fully escape. In all the hype about digital replicas, we also need to consider what robotics engineers call the uncanny valley effect. In theory, when some humans engage with a robot or an AI, something that's very close to but not quite human, the experience can trigger feelings of unease, anxiety, fear, revulsion, and even sometimes depression. That happens because the machine is representing something familiar in a very strange and unsettling way. So, what might start out as a positive human reaction can plunge very quickly as the machine becomes more and more human-like. Then we start to feel uncomfortable about it. Despite the hype, we also need to think about the ethical issues that digital resurrection might raise. For example, what might digital afterlife mean in the case of particularly dangerous individuals? Imagine the damage that could be done by AI reproductions of murderous tyrants like Hitler, Stalin, or Pol Pot, or more specifically, by people who engage with them and follow their instructions as if they were still alive. Then there's the question of how AI replicas might shape our attitude to life. Even if it were possible to extend human life for very long periods or even indefinitely, would that necessarily be the best thing for us? None of us looks forward to our own death. And if we're honest, it's often the thing we fear the most, or at least want to delay for as long as possible. But knowing that life comes with a use-by date motivates us to use our time wisely. It helps propel us toward meaningful work and healthy relationships. And it drives us to try to create a positive legacy, something good for which we'll be remembered. One of the most impacting of all human principles is altruism. In the Western world, traditional ideas about altruism have been largely shaped by religion, particularly Christianity. Here, the crucifixion of Christ is seen as the archetypal act of self-sacrifice for the wider good, and the ultimate act of submission to God. Throughout history, these twin notions of self-giving and accountability have motivated millions of people to devote their lives to sacrificial causes. But these ideas about altruism also suggest that the best way to approach death is not to try to avoid it, but to try to live for something that lives on when we die. There are many questions that remain unanswered when it comes to digital replicas of the dead. There'll be questions about data ownership. Has a dying person given their informed consent to the use of their data after their death? What input, if any, have they had into how the AI represents them? What guarantee will they have that the avatar won't say things they'd never have said on matters they've never even thought about? Once the data is turned into an avatar, will family members have the authority to delete it? What will happen to inheritance laws? And how will authorities prevent the hacking of huge data banks devoted to the dead? As individuals and as a society, I think we have to approach these technologies with caution. Yes, we should investigate how AI can help us deal with grief and keep treasured memories alive. But we must be very careful to address the ethical, moral and practical dangers of trying to resurrect the dead, as it were, by digital means. In my opinion, we should never use AI in ways that dishonour or misrepresent our loved ones, or stifle the important process of grief. I'm Mal Fletcher. Please don't forget to like this video and subscribe. And if you can, please support our channel with a donation at one of the links below, because it really does help us research and produce more videos on the human impact of emerging technology. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.